Over the years, some United legends have slipped under the radar. They endear themselves to the fans, especially in uncertain times. But because of greater achievements and fonder memories of others, only really those who lived through their exploits can truly understand what they did for the club and what they mean to them. On my Get About United Facebook group, when I'm making a video for 70s United legends, I always put it as a poll to the members to choose who they want. This time around, they've chosen masterful midfielder Sammy McIlroy, a Red Devil who played under 6 different gaffers, was relegated, promoted, and played in more losing FA Cup finals than he won, and all in just over a decade's worth of service. So raise your glasses and reminisce, or simply find out more about Sammy McIlroy. Samuel Baxter McIlroy was born on the 2nd of August 1954 to a Protestant family in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The young Sammy was a sports fanatic growing up. Unfortunately for a talented Belfast youngster in the 60s, with the troubles just starting up, football was a realistic way out. Between the ages of 9 and 14, McIlroy was spotted and his progress monitored by Bob Bishop, the elite scout who found George Best. From what Bishop saw, the youngster earned himself a trial at United. Sammy moved to Old Trafford in 1969, becoming Sir Matt's final signing, and was so dubbed, and it's the name of his autobiography, the Last Busby Babe. In his early days at Old Trafford, the quick change of managers meant that his position and place was varied, and he was employed as an out-and-out striker to start with, before he became more settled as an attacking midfielder. The Irishman was technically gifted, not lacking skill, and capable of a trick or two. He also had a first-class engine, decent pace, and was a robust footballer, not afraid in the tackle, and could pull out a pass when needed. All these attributes and more would see him at the heart of the side for the next 10 years or so. 17-year-old Sammy McIlroy made his debut against Manchester City on the 6th of November 1971 due to an injury to Dennis Law. It was a dream debut, with Sammy scoring the opening goal in a 3-3 draw at Main Road, assisting the other 2. Sammy managed to score 3 goals in his first 4 matches for United, with his maiden Old Trafford goal coming in a 3-1 victory over Spurs. Being of slight build and from Belfast, young Sammy started to draw unfair and impossible comparisons to his legendary teammate and hero, George Best. This was despite the fact that they were completely different types of players, who played in completely different positions. But he came to distinguish himself in his own right, rather than being unfairly deemed as another incarnation of the incomparable mercurial winger. The Irishman had started well, but United were a side in decline. It was going to be a long, hard decade ahead. However, Sammy had bigger worries, as a car crash in 1973 in Salford led to him being in a coma for 10 days, coupled with 4 broken ribs and a punctured lung. It saw him out of the game for about 5 or 6 months. Whilst he was recovering, manager Frank O'Farrell had been sacked and Tommy Docherty was given the task of keeping United in the top flight by the end of the 72-73 season. The Dock obliged, but the rot had set in deep, and he couldn't do enough to prevent the inevitable the following year. In the popular and exciting Tommy Dock side, McIlroy was an ever-present in the 2nd Division promotion charge, scoring 7 goals in a 42-game season. The Ulsterman was integral to the side's exciting play, supporting the attacks and positively adding to the overall culture in the dressing room. He had now earned his first winner's medal with the club. Just 3 months after his United debut, the young 17-year-old McIlroy was called up in February 1972 to make his first international appearance for Northern Ireland against Spain in a 1-1 draw. However, it did take him almost 4 years in the back end of 1975 against Norway to score his first goal for his country in a 3-0 victory. By the early 80s, buoyed by his club success, he'd already become a mainstay in the side and helped Northern Ireland to remarkably qualify for the first World Cup finals since 1958. And even more astonishing, topped a group consisting of host Spain, Honduras and Yugoslavia, with a highlight being a 1-0 win over the Spaniards. Sammy, who played every game in the tournament, took part in a further group stage with France and Austria. Needing to beat France in the last match to progress, their zenith already reached, they capitulated 4-1. For the 86 tournament in Mexico, the Northern Irish did it again, but this time around it would be far tougher for the now skipper of the side. His father was suffering from throat cancer at the time. His mum encouraged him to go anyway, which was hard to deal with by itself. But what was worse, he found out that actually his mother died suddenly. He came home for the funeral, but was encouraged to go back by his father and do his duty, which he did. Drawn in a group with Brazil, a vastly improved Spain and Algeria. A draw to Algeria in defeats against Brazil and Spain sent Sammy and the boys home early. His father would pass 3 months later. In addition to that, the Ulsterman contributed a pair of British Championship titles, Sammy had collected 88 caps for his country, scoring on 5 occasions. In United's first season back in the big time, it was a massively different side to not only the one that had hit rock bottom 12 months before, but had also grown in quality on their second division performances. A huge travelling support helped the team's consistency, which by the end of the campaign saw them narrowly miss out on the title, with only a couple of results going their way would have seen them champions at the first attempt. Instead, it would be a very credible third place finish. It was the FA Cup that was the focus that season. After scoring the winner in the quarter-finals versus Wolves, adding to another strike earlier in the competition, Sam and his teammates overcame Derby in the semi to set up an FA Cup final encounter with second-tier Southampton. Maybe a bit of hubris showed in the Dockside after that impressive bumper season, but we all know what happened. A late-on Bobby Stokes VAR-exempt goal was the difference. The following year was to be different. The lads weren't in contention for the title this time around, with the Docks' devil-may-care brand of football leading to the side's form being quite erratic, but they did walk out at Wembley again, this time against treble-chasing Liverpool. Breaking the Scousers' hearts, who this time were the favourites, Sammy had finally earned some major silverware, the least he deserved for his years of service through thick and thin up to that point. The 2-1 win was secured, with all 3 goals coming within a 5-minute spell in the second half. The Ulsterman then added a Charity Shield winners' medal, albeit shared, to his cup win and his second division championship winners' medal. 2 years later, and Sammy and Matt made his third FA Cup final appearance, this time against Arsenal. The North Londoners raced into a 2-0 lead by half-time, and the game looked to be done until 4 minutes to go when Gordon McQueen grabbed one back. Then we saw one of the greatest individual Wembley goals, just as it looked like the game was going to go into extra time with the impetus with United, and Alan Sunderland winner for Arsenal did for us in the cruelest way. It would be the Irishman's last time at Wembley playing in club football. Dave Sexton, whose side led that heroically forlorn comeback against Arsenal, was replaced 2 years later by Big Ron Atkinson. His new boss, fresh from West Brom, had brought in 2 of his best midfielders with him, Remy Moses and Brian Robson. This led to Sammy's exit to the Potteries and Stoke City on the 2nd of February 1982 for £350,000. It was a club record fee at the time. A 1-1 draw at home to Everton in January 82 was his swan song. Sammy had played 419 matches, scoring 71 goals over 11 seasons with 6 managers. In any other side, he would have won far more silverware. Big Ron's side was in transition. His new club Stokes were in mortal danger of relegation out of the First Division. His 18 league appearances and 3 goals were crucial in his side's survival that year, before being finally relegated at the end of the 84-85 season, prompting a move to Main Road so he could still play top-flight football. It was a bright spot for the Ulsterman around that period, receiving a personal award as he became an MBE in 1986 in the Queen's Birthday Honours for his services to football. Sammy went on to play more than 150 more matches for Örgryte in Sweden, Bury, FB Mödling and a player-coach role at Preston North End. He then moved to Northwich Victoria, where he became manager in 1992, before officially retiring from playing football the following year. Sammy wasn't at Northwich long, moving the short distance to fellow Cheshire club Macclesfield Town, where he had a good degree of success. The Silkmen won the Bob Lord Trophy, the FA Trophy, and won the GM Vauxhall Conference title twice, getting them promoted for the first time in their 120-year history to the Football League, and then getting them promoted again to the third tier. However, he did leave in 1999 to manage his home country of Northern Ireland, but to far less success. He returned to club management after that, staying in the northwest with Stockport County, and then for a short time at Morecambe. He helped Morecambe get promoted to the Football League in the playoff final at Wembley. So there it is, the life and times of United and Northern Ireland legend Sammy McIlroy. He started his career at Old Trafford as Busby's last signing and finished it after hundreds of games, 3 cup finals and scoring one of the greatest goals ever at Wembley. So what are your memories of this tremendous servant to the club? Comment below, and if you've not already done so, press like and why not subscribe, you know you want to. Thank you as always for your support.